"Get him out of my party." My cousin Marissa screamed at the staff, not knowing she was tossing out the hotel owner. I reminded her, "You just booked my place for your birthday." She got dragged out in front of everyone. "Hey, Reddit original post on April 19th. I've always tried to keep things peaceful with my extended family, especially my cousin Marissa. She's the type of person who walks into a room and assumes the spotlight belongs to her. Loud, opinionated, and always flaunting her latest designer purse or some new skincare routine she swears is revolutionary. But despite the show she puts on, she's family, and I tolerated her because that's what you do. I'm 35 now, and after grinding for over a decade, I finally bought my own hotel, a small boutique spot on the coast that's become popular for events and parties. I kept that part of my life fairly quiet with the extended family. Only my parents, siblings, and close friends knew. Not out of secrecy, just because I didn't want the attention. But a few months ago, Marissa found out. She came running with flattery and charm, asking if she could host her birthday party at my gorgeous hotel. I agreed. Business is business, and she paid for the package like anyone else would. I even threw in a few extras. Better lighting, upgraded bar service, just to make the event go smoothly. That was my mistake. The party was a full-blown spectacle. Fake smiles, too loud music, and way too many influencers live streaming their plates of food. I mostly stayed in the background, managing things quietly with my staff. I dressed down, just jeans and a button-up, so no one really recognized me as the owner, which is exactly how I prefer it. That night, something happened that still plays in my mind like a slow-motion train wreck. I was walking out from the back office, talking to one of my bartenders about the tab arrangements, when I heard Marissa's voice echo across the room, loud, sharp, cutting. "Who the hell let him in?" she shrieked, pointing directly at one of my staff members. I froze. The guy she was pointing at, Miguel, is one of the kindest, most professional people I've ever hired. He was just checking the drink stations, but Marissa stormed toward him like he'd spit in her drink. "Get him out of my party," she screamed, jabbing her manicured finger at him. "You, security." Now, a couple of guests laughed nervously. Others turned to see what the fuss was. Miguel tried to explain, but she wasn't having it. She actually tried to shove him, like physically push him toward the exit. That's when I stepped in. "Marissa," I said firmly but calmly, "what do you think you're doing?" She turned startled to see me there. "He doesn't belong here. He's not even dressed right." I looked around. Everyone had gone quiet. "That's Miguel," I said. "He's on my staff. You know, staff of the hotel you rented." She looked confused. "So he was just standing around. He looked shady." I took a breath and said clearly, for everyone to hear, "You just tried to kick out one of my employees from my hotel, the one you rented for your party." Her eyes flickered. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I stepped closer. "This entire place, I own it, every square foot. And you who didn't even thank me for the discount or the favors I added, just embarrassed a man who works for me in front of 60 people. She went pale. "Marissa," I continued, keeping my tone cold now, "you don't get to treat people like trash just because you're the center of attention for a night. You can finish your cake somewhere else." The silence in the room was deafening. A few people were filming on their phones. I didn't care. I motioned to the security team, "Please escort her out." And just like that, my cousin, birthday crown and all, was led out of the hotel, heels clicking against the tile floor as the entire party watched. Her friends stood frozen. A few tried to follow her, but most stayed behind, unsure what to do. I looked around, then turned to Miguel. "You okay?" He nodded, shaken but grateful. I told the staff to shut down the bar early, and I gave everyone the night off, full pay. The remaining guests, I refunded their drinks and called it a night. What was supposed to be a quiet act of family support turned into a public lesson about entitlement and respect. But that was just the beginning. By the next morning, the entire family group chat was on fire. I woke up to 87 unread messages, most of them variations of what happened last night. And you really kicked Marissa out of her own party. Some were more dramatic, calling me spiteful and power-hungry, as if I'd ruined Christmas and Thanksgiving in one fell swoop. Marissa, of course, had already posted a crying selfie to Instagram with the caption, "When your own blood humiliates you for clout." She left out the part about publicly screaming at one of my employees and trying to physically remove him from a party she didn't even bother to say thank you for. What stung wasn't her lies. It was how many people blindly took her side. My Aunt Linda, her mother, called me a disgrace to the family. My uncle texted me a Bible verse. Even some cousins I barely talked to jumped in, talking about how I've changed since becoming successful. Only a handful of people stood up for me. My parents, my sister, and a couple of second cousins who'd seen the footage someone uploaded to TikTok. Yeah, someone had filmed it, and it was already making the rounds with the caption, "Rich cousin kicks birthday girl out of his own hotel." The irony? Most of the comments were on my side. She tried to kick out an employee like she owned the place. Karma came fast. This dude handled it with class. I would have lost my mind. Entitled cousin gets booted. Love to see it. Still, I wasn't looking for online validation. I was angry, not because of the internet or the drama, but because I'd given Marissa an opportunity to celebrate in a place I built from the ground up, and she repaid it with cruelty and arrogance. And then it got worse. 3 days later, I got an email from the city. A noise complaint violation had been filed against my hotel. Then another, a formal complaint about unsafe catering conditions, all bogus. It didn't take long to figure out who was behind them. Marissa's boyfriend, James, had a friend who worked in the local licensing office. I pieced it together when someone anonymously emailed my hotel's public inbox a message that read, "You should think twice before embarrassing people who have connections." I was furious, but not surprised. This wasn't just a tantrum anymore. It was a targeted campaign to make me pay. So I got smart. I didn't retaliate. I documented everything. Every false claim, every complaint, every email. I consulted a lawyer and sent out cease and desist letters to James and Marissa. I contacted the city and explained the situation with clear evidence. The city clerk, who thankfully wasn't part of their little scheme, looked into it and apologized personally for the inconvenience. But I wasn't done. That weekend, I hosted an open house event at my hotel, a charity gala, with proceeds going to a local shelter. I invited press, influencers, local business owners. I gave a short speech about integrity in business and how we should treat staff like family. It made headlines. Local hotel owner shuts down entitlement with grace and gives back to community. I didn't name Marissa. I didn't have to. People already knew. Her reputation tanked. Brands she promoted on Instagram quietly pulled back. Some unfollowed her completely. Apparently, they didn't want to be associated with someone known for screaming at staff and trying to weaponize her social circle for revenge. As for my business, bookings doubled in the following month. A few people even asked if they could have their parties at the hotel that kicked out the spoiled cousin. But what surprised me most was what happened next. When Marissa reached out herself, she sent a voice note, not a text. Her tone was shaky, fragile, almost childlike. I messed up. She said, "I thought I was just being assertive. I didn't realize how awful I sounded. I was embarrassed and I made it worse. I didn't mean for things to go this far." There was a pause. "I know you probably hate me. I don't blame you, but if there's any chance we can talk, I'd like to." "I'm sorry." It threw me off completely. After weeks of venom, she sounded sincere. I didn't respond immediately. I sat with it. This wasn't just about business anymore. This was personal. Forgiveness is powerful, but so is accountability. I knew whatever I chose next, it would define not just our relationship, but how I carried myself from that point forward. I waited 3 days before replying to Marissa's voice note, not because I wanted to punish her, but because I needed time to figure out if I wanted to open that door again. A door she'd slammed in my face with entitlement, insults, and attempted sabotage. But I kept coming back to the same thought. Was she really sorry or just sorry she got caught? Eventually, I replied with a simple text. "We can talk. One condition, no defensiveness, just honesty." She agreed. We met in a quiet lounge on the top floor of my hotel, the very same one she once claimed was too tacky for her aesthetic. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Marissa walked in, looking nothing like the Instagram persona she clung to. No flashy makeup, no curated outfit, just jeans, a hoodie, and swollen eyes. She sat down across from me, and for a moment, she looked like the cousin I used to know when we were kids before filters, and followers and fake personalities came into the picture. I don't even know where to start, she said quietly. Try the truth, I replied. She took a deep breath and laid it all out. Marissa admitted she let the attention go to her head. She'd built her online identity on always being in control, always being adored, and when things didn't go her way, especially in public, she panicked. She didn't want to feel powerless, so she lashed out, then doubled down. And when she saw people siding with me, she spiraled. I was cruel, she said, eyes glossy, and I dragged James into it. I thought if I made you look bad, I'd feel better, but I didn't. I just looked at myself one day and thought, God, who even are you? Then she surprised me. I've been seeing a therapist, she added. I've started going because I couldn't keep pretending that what I did was normal. I hurt someone who gave me everything. You didn't deserve that. None of your staff did. She pulled out an envelope and slid it across the table. What is this? An official statement retracting the complaints. Signed and notarized. I also emailed the city office. I needed to make it right. I opened it. It was legit. And James? I asked. Gone, she said. After the way he encouraged all of it, I realized he was just using me to build his own clout. I think he loved the drama more than me. For the first time in weeks, I saw something genuine in her regret. Yes, but also growth. Still, I wasn't going to just sweep it under the rug. I appreciate the apology, I said, but I can't forget what happened. Trust takes time. You broke a lot of it. I know, she whispered. I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. I just wanted to say it to your face and mean it. And that was the moment I realized revenge wasn't always loud. Sometimes it looked like this. Someone finally seeing the wreckage they caused and trying to clean it up with their own hands. I didn't hug her. I didn't cry, but I nodded. And for now, that was enough. In the weeks that followed, things slowly settled. The family, sensing the winds had shifted, began softening their tone. A few even apologized for jumping to conclusions. Others stayed quiet, embarrassed they had believed Marissa's version of events so easily. But I didn't forget. I made a decision that would stick with me forever. No more hosting events for people who couldn't respect me. No more generosity without boundaries. No more letting family guilt me into silence when they crossed the line. I rebuilt my inner circle, and it got smaller but stronger. I focused on my business, my real friends, and the people who showed me love, even when it wasn't trending. As for Marissa, she took a break from social media. Last I heard, she started volunteering at a local shelter and signed up for a community leadership course. Maybe it was a PR move. Maybe it was real. Time would tell. But one thing was certain. She wasn't the same girl who tried to scream her way through my lobby, and I wasn't the same guy who stayed silent to keep the peace. Sometimes it takes one explosive party to burn everything fake down. But from the ashes, you get to rebuild something real.